Okay, thanks, Lauren, for inviting me and everybody. And thank you to, my name is Bernie Doherty. I'm the Galway Community Archaeologist, and the Galway Community Archaeology Project is funded by Galway County Council and the Heritage Council. And we have our own website in the iCAN community, and you can see it there. Okay, a lot of the information I'm given here this evening is up on the website. So there is a part, you know, the under publications and as well under community archaeology. So if you have a look around there for any information, but as well, I've prepared some notes, which Lauren will forward on to you. Sorry for repeating myself, everybody. Okay, so the Community Monuments Fund for 2020 was rolled out by the National Monument Service under the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage. The National Monument Service is now within the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage. For anyone that doesn't know, they tend to be moved around with every new government. Okay, so that's where they're housed at, where they are at the moment. Okay, so the Community Monuments Fund, it's administered through the county councils or the city councils. So it's administered through your local authority. And for ye, it'll be Galway County Council, Mayo County Council, Wicklow County Council, and Clare County Council. So it was part of the July Jobs Stimulus Package, which was rolled out by the government in July. And there was a very short time frame. They only announced it in September, and applications had to be in by October, and jobs had to be completed by November. So it was really, it was a very frantic time, you know, to get the applications in and to get the work done. Okay, and we were very lucky in Galway. 4 different projects got funding. So basically, the community monuments, it's for monuments specifically in the community. It's kind of focusing on recorded monuments. Okay, so so if you need to know is, if you're looking for funding for a specific project, you need to know, is it a recorded monument? Is it a national monument? Is it a protected structure? Okay, and to find out, there, www.heritagemaps.ie, you'll find a lot of resources there. It's kind of a one-stop shop, okay? And for, look at your county development plan as well, to find out if it's a protected structure. To find out whether or not it's in the record of monuments and places, or whether it's an RMP, you can check out www.archaeology.ie. The RMP maps are also available in your county council offices and in local libraries. And there's a link there. And it's up on the website, how to access and how to find out whether a site is a recorded monument. Okay, so that link is there, and you can find it, as I said, on the Field Monuments website. As well, there's a National Monuments Register on www.archaeology.ie as well. So that's the National Monuments Service website. Okay. So this is just bringing you into the heritagemaps.ie. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but so a lot of you working on the websites will be. So this is the Heritage Maps, www.heritagemaps.ie. And on the left-hand side, you can see the layer list, and you'll be able to scroll down, okay, and you can find, you'll be able to find the protected structures will come up in yellow, okay. So I just brought up Wicklow here for our Wicklow friends, and I clicked on one of the things on the right hand side, and it's a beach house, and it dates to around 1935, but it's still a protected structure. So it, you know, if it is of significance in an area, you may be surprised to find out what is a protected structure. As well, areas of architectural conservation areas as well. A lot of towns would be within those. So we need to take all that information into account. Okay, so as well, there could be dual protection as well. So a site could be a protected structure, and it could also be a recorded monument. Okay. This I'm just bringing you up. This is an RMP map. Okay, and a lot of you will be familiar with it. And you can see the number here. This is Galway sheet whatever. Each one has a separate sheet number. But I brought this up just to show the thick black line around the monument. Do you see my arrow there? Okay, yeah. That arrow, that's showing the area of constraint around St. Patrick's Well. You can see the little dot here is the well, but the area all around it is also protected. So any work in and around there, you need to get permission from the National Monument Service. The same here, okay? This is Champelbeg in ruins. It's an old church, and there's also children's burial ground here as well. Okay, this is where it is, but this whole area along here, all the way around, this is all within, this is all part of the area that is protected, okay? And any work in and around this area you need to have permission from the National Monuments. Okay, so a lot of people, they may, they could be buying a site. Their site could be located here, but it's still within, and they'll say, oh no, but the church is 2 fields away. It's, it's still, if it's within this area, okay, this is called the area of constraint for the monument. Okay, you still need that permission. Okay. So what permissions are required? If you plan to do any work on a site, okay, you need a letter of consent from the landowner. And sometimes you actually have to, there might be a bit of work in finding out who the landowner is. So it could be a site, it'd be okay if it's a farmer, but sometimes if it's not registered, it could belong to somebody's uncle or aunt. The things mightn't have gotten handed over in the right way. So it's really, really important to get a letter of consent from the landowner. And that could be your local authority as well. Maybe you hope to do some work within a church grounds or within a graveyard. That might belong to the local authority. So you need to get a letter of consent from the local authority. So the National Monument Service notification is required, okay, under the National Monuments Acts, all right? So all sites are protected under the National Monuments Acts once they are on the RMP map, okay? And ministerial consent is required if it's a national monument, all right? And then maybe you might need planning permission. You'll need to consult your local authority depending on the works that you plan to do. And as well, you need a detailed method statement. You need to know each step exactly what you plan to do. And that method statement should be prepared by a professional, say, be it an archaeologist, a conservation architect, an engineer. You need to know the details before you get permission. The National Monument Service require a method statement. Okay, so you need to make a plan. Okay, so a lot of you are already within heritage groups. So maybe you might want to make, if you want to take on a new project, maybe you want to create a subcommittee for that project. I find it might be easier just to deal with a smaller number of people instead of having to deal with a larger committee of 20 or so that shows up for meetings. Because the less, if you get a focus group, it's much easier to deal with, okay? So you make your plan, you have a site in your mind. So this is what the Community Monuments Fund is for. They want you to protect, okay? So how are you going to protect it? You want to keep it from deteriorating. If you're not sure how you could do that, maybe a conservation management plan could be the best thing for that site. That conservation management plan can be prepared by a conservation architect, a building specialist. You could involve, so you'd involve your heritage officer or an archaeologist from the beginning in the discussions, okay? And then maybe the conservation management plan will basically give you a step-by-step guide as to how the site can be promoted. What's the best thing to do first? Say if it's it's falling into disrepair, so we want to protect it, we want to do immediate works to protect it into the future. So what's the best way to go about it? Funding is only given out. There's only going to be so much funding handed out. So you're not going to do all the work that you want to get done. It's going to eat money. So you have to make a conservation management plan will give you an idea of what steps to take and how to go about it. You want to preserve the site, okay? You want to preserve the knowledge, you want to preserve the built heritage, the archaeology, and that's the visible archaeology and the subsurface archaeology. So don't go planning for any unnecessary works, okay? You've got a lovely site here. I want to build people, we're going to have people coming here. We'll need a car park. Do you really need a car park? Is it necessary to spend a lot of money in the car park? Will that work? Is that work going to disturb subsurface archaeology? You don't want to plan for unnecessary works, okay? How are you going to promote it? You've already got your websites, you've got your social media sites. You can give talks, you can make a short film, you can create a Heritage Week event around it, okay? So while the work is going on, log everything, take pictures, and promote the works that are being carried out. The National Monuments Service have their own Facebook page, and they want everything logged. They want to show they want to see where their money is going. Plus, they're going to want to promote it on their website. Okay, so they like the idea of these short films being made. They like the idea that here, the Minister Noonan has been tagged, and he sees and he likes. So if they see that you're spending the money correctly as it's supposed to be spent, and they are, they're being acknowledged for the handing out of that money, it makes them look good, it makes you look good. So the possibility of further funding, again, they know that you're ticking that box. As well, when you're making your plan, you need to make it safe. Okay, you need to make it safe for workers and for visitors. So they want to fund immediate works. Okay, so one of the sites that got funding in Galway, a medieval wall had fallen on a grave. Okay, so it needed immediate works, and that wall was there. The family weren't able to visit their graves. There was 2 or 3 families. There was a fence put up around it. They couldn't get to visit their family graves, and it was very distressing. But the immediate works made it safe for people to get access again, not only to the medieval site, but to their own graves as well, which is what we want. So as well, make sure you have insurances, okay? Make sure you have a safety statement, you need risk assessments, we now need COVID officers. As well, involve local tradespeople if possible. The July Jobs Stimulus Package, it was all about trying to stimulate work in rural Ireland, keep money in the country, keep money, and they want to see the local trades and the craftspeople of the areas getting, keeping up their work. So, that's really important. And as well, acknowledge the funding. It's a simple thank you. Make sure you put their logos on everything if you are preparing any kind on your websites. It's just a nice thing to do, is just to say thank you. People sometimes forget. So as well, now you might be wondering, how much can I get? So the budget, the Community Monuments Fund is giving 100% funding, okay? And they want to stick, so you don't need to match this, okay? That's why it's really attractive for people and for groups, all right? Now, the maximum amount that they gave to any of the projects in Galway was €30,000. And that was to, I think they applied for 40,000. I think the maximum is 50,000, but you ask for 40, they give you 30. Now, so you need to be realistic about what you're not going to do everything, and you need to have your plan in place. Okay, so what immediate works are required? I'll just touch now on the Built Heritage Investment Scheme. And that's actually out at the moment, and it's available. The applications need to be in by the 29th of January. Okay, and that only covers 50% of the costs. So that's, the funding goes from 2,500 to 15,000. And the Historic Structures Fund is 50 to 80% of the cost of your project. There's an interesting pilot stream now, and that's for vernacular structures, so they don't need to be protected structures. If they're, your vernacular, if it's your thatched cottage, if it's something, if there's something that is typical in your area, could be a farmhouse. There's one vernacular structure per can be put forward per local authority. Okay, and as well there's a pilot scheme for historic shop fronts. So they're like giving 15 to 50,000 euro. So this is something new, and as well only one can be put forward per local authority. Now it doesn't say how many they will be able to fund. They will fund it through that, but I just as well just let you know that the match, you need to be able to match funding, and they do not accept they don't accept voluntary labor for that. Okay, so it has to be your, you have to have the money basically in your bank account, and you'll need to be able to show that as well. So the Built Heritage Investment Scheme will only cover 50%. Okay, so you need to have 50%. So that's for privately owned historic homes. Okay. So other details with regards to your budget, you need to have bank details or a credit union account in the name of the group that is applying for the grant. That's really important. Okay, so if whoever is, sometimes you might have subgroups within your community groups, or your could be a Tidy Towns group. Whatever group is applying needs to have a bank details in their account, and they also need to be registered with their local authority regarding payment. Okay, so that's only needed once it's approved. So if you've ever gotten a grant from your local authority already, you will already be registered. Tax clearance cert is required, or charity registration number will be required for the application. As well, for any applications, you need to have your quotations, okay? You need to get your quotations from all the people that would be involved in the project. So you need to know exactly what your project is going to entail. So you need your heritage professionals lined up, ready to go. Be that an archaeologist, conservation architect, structural engineer, your ecologist. You need to think about, will there be birds nesting at the time of the works? Could there be bats? You need your stonemason. You need your possibly a landscaper. How are you going to promote this? Are you going to do some 3D photography? Are you going to do some drone footage? You know, filmmaker, all of these things. Get your quotations from everyone. Okay, so down to how you're going to promote the works. All right, and as well, don't forget about the extras, because if you've got your guy coming on site, you've got to make sure, ask them, does that include scaffolding? Does that include fencing? Does that include, you know, you could have your conservation architect coming on site and he's going, oh, I need the lift, I need height for hire on the day. So that's going to be an extra expense. And as well, you need to have, safety personnel. Okay, so you need to have somebody who's in charge of safety for the site, who is going to take everybody's safety statements, risk assessments. Have your person, you know, that could be your contractor, it could be your conservation architect, it could be your structural engineer. Okay, but find out, you must make sure you have that accounted for. Okay. Move it on. Then forms, this is probably very obvious to everybody, but just make sure you fill out everything and keep it short, keep it sweet, keep it concise. Okay, so answer all the questions, answer all the gaps, don't have any gaps, and put not applicable or NA if appropriate. All right. Make it into one document. Okay, so you're going to have your application form, but you're going to have your support and documentation. Pull everything into the one document. Don't be sending 10 separate PDFs for your one application, because it's extremely frustrating for the person that's receiving them, that they have to go looking at everything separately. They want everything that's obvious. All they want to do is be able to open the one document and have everything there. So at the end of your form that they supply, at the end of it, add supporting documentation and number it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, be that your archaeologist's report, be it an engineer's report. Have number 3 is your quotations, number 4 your photographs, and your letter of consent from the owner. You might feel like you're repeating yourself, but it just makes things obvious for them. They'll be able to tick, yes, we have all of this. And then as well, getting all of your quotations as well, it'll show them that you're prepared. Okay, and it'll show them that you mean business, and you'll be ready to go if they say yes, you're ready, you know, here's the money. And as well, if you could submit it 24 hours at least before the deadline, or even up to 48 hours, because if there is something missing from your application, I'm just now talking about, say, the Community Monuments Fund, if it's received by the local authority, they still have time to go back to you because the local authority has got a deadline as to when they can be sent, that they need to send them on to the National Monuments Service, and they will not accept anything later. So we want to help you get your funding. So if there's anything missing at all, it gives us time to get back to you and for you to get what may or may not be missing, you know, and it's easy to, you know, it could be a simple mistake, just adding the maths of the quotations together, and it would need to be, you know, you just need to double check. Some things need to be double checked sometimes. So and your supporting documentations have your archaeologist report, your site visit, previous relevant local history projects, anything at all, and links to your website. You're showing that you have social media, showing that it's a site that is of local importance. In your quotations will be part of your supporting documentation, and you just remember to allow for VAT. Okay, have your photographs, recent photographs, which may be included in an archaeologist site visit report anyway, and they should be included as well in your method statement. And I should have, in the supporting documentation there, I just realized there should be a method statement there as well, pointing out, showing the works that needs to be done. Okay, so apologies for that. But that could come under your archaeologist's report. Anyway, so how are applications assessed? So this is, as I say, this is just from the Community Monuments Fund's perspective, okay? So when your local authority receives your application, they have to answer these questions in their appraisal then of your application, okay? So the significance of the monument. So is it a recorded monument? Is it a national monument? It's of local importance. How is it of local importance? You have that stated in your application, okay? So that will make it easy for your local authority then to appraise it. The efficacy of the grant in achieving the aims, okay, of why are they handing out money? So this is just to go over again, the core objective of the Community Monuments Fund is to support the conservation, maintenance, protection, and promotion of local monuments, okay? And it aims at enabling conservation works to be carried out on monuments which are deemed to be significant and in need of urgent support. And they want to encourage access to monuments and improve their presentation. And also they want to build resilience to enable them withstand the effects of climate change. So you need to answer in your application, this is what your project is going to do. So for you know, and this goes any application for funding. Find out what the aims are and make sure you answer those questions, okay? So there'll be a specific thing, and you know that, and you need to tick those. Yes, this job is, but you need to spell it out in your application, okay? You know yourself, yes, it is obviously going to do this, but you still need to spell out those words that are highlighted. And then the quality of the methodology and the technical merit of the works proposed. Yes, you have qualified archaeologists, you know, on standby. You have your conservation architect. You have your structural engineer. You know, you have all the heritage professionals there lined up. So yes, and the methodology, that's your method statement. You have a method statement. This is what's going to happen within the site. So, and then what broader public or community benefit is there to the project? So can you involve training within this project? Is there local employment? Is it going to add to the education? How many days work will be achieved? So that's the kind of information you want to also include. Okay, so I'm going to give my voice a rest. This is just a short film I prepared for Glenamady Buivna Heritage Group back in September. They did an online heritage festival. And this was one of the sites that I had visited, and it ended up being one of the sites that was put forward for the Community Monuments funding. I'd visited a lot of different sites in this area, and they were wanting to do something with this site. So I'll just let you sit back. You might have already seen it, so apologies for anyone that's already seen it. But I'm just going to press play now, and hopefully this machinery will work. Where are you? Hello and welcome to Glanfest. This is Bernie Doherty, Galway community archaeologist. Today we're visiting the townland of Ballinestack in North County Galway. Ballinestack megalithic tomb is located in low-lying pasture land to the north of Glenamaddy town. This is one of just over 100 megalithic sites in the county of Galway. Mega means large or big and lithic means stone. These sites can date from the Neolithic period or later Stone Age, which is about 6,000 years ago, when Ireland's first farmers began clearing the land of trees and stone. The landscape is transforming gradually from a rugged and wooded country to cleared areas where field boundaries and walls are being constructed. A nomadic lifestyle gives way to a more stable one in the construction of strong timber houses. Hunting and gathering continues, as does the use of stone tools. A lot of emphasis is put on the afterlife, hence these fantastic structures. There are three basic varieties of megalithic tomb: the court tomb, passage tomb and portal tomb. A fourth, the Linkardstown type, is a kist burial enclosed by a cairn found mostly in the southern part of the country. This could possibly be a portal tomb, also known as dolmen or cromlech, but only excavation could reveal whether the surrounding ground is part of a cairn or a mound. The site is known locally as Clough Diarmid. A great chieftain of the area with the name is reputed to have been buried here. There's probably some truth in that, as it was probably an important person or family that was buried here originally. Many megaliths and archaeological sites throughout the country are associated with the great Fianna warrior Diarmid, who fled with Grania, Finn's betrothed and daughter of the High King of Ireland. This is also the site of a children's burial ground. From the 1600s, unbaptized babies were not allowed to be buried in sanctified ground, hence a family were required to find other locations to bury them. This site has been used up to the 1960s, and there are many grave markers evident. These grave markers are located in rows in an east-west orientation. This site has been enclosed with a wall by the local community around 20 years ago. It's hoped that it'll get some recognition again as an important site of interest. It's certainly one of the most archaeological significant sites in the area and requires our sensitive attention and appreciation. Community Monuments funding was just recently awarded by the National Monument Service, Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage, and part of the government's July Job Stimulus Plan for 2020. This funding shall enable Glenamaddy Buivna Heritage Group begin the clearance of overgrowth at this monument. We shall look forward to showing you the results. This was prepared for Glanfest, Glenamaddy Heritage Festival. Galway Community Archaeology Project is funded by Galway County Council and the Heritage Council. Okay. Oh, sorry. Hello and welcome to Glanfest. This is Bernie Doherty. Okay, so that's just to give you an idea. That was about 3 minutes long, and I prepared that on PowerPoint, and then I changed it into a little video, which was then put up online. So like a bit of work went into it, but it's just to give you an idea of how you can promote something, you know. And in the application, this site then was put forward for the Community Monuments Fund. So we already had that up on YouTube for the National Monuments to look at. Okay, so it kind of feeds into their psyche, you know, going, oh, okay, oh, right, okay, this is what they're doing. And they already had their website there, you know, so they could see that they were getting reach, you know, they were getting, you know, people from America and different people were in touch with the group as well about it. So this is the heritage group here and the landowner. So this is just to reiterate, you need to log everything that's going on. So I was there as the archaeologist monitoring the works. So it's important, like there was a lot of conversation had to go on between the landowner and the community group to assure the landowner that the work was going to be done properly with respect to the ground, and the local community as well, you know, needed to know that, yeah, this tree is going to be cut down. We're not going to be disturbing any grave, you know, that we, you know, they needed to know that the work was going to be done properly, basically. So there was a lot of conversation before we applied for funding. This is the work, this is the megalithic tomb there, and the lads were there working, they were, excuse me, removing the trees. They only cut them to you know, they left the roots there, and then they treated them then, so they wouldn't regrow again. And this is the megalithic tomb after the removal of the tree. And then this is Gary Dempsey filming the landowner when it was all cleared up. So you can see all the stone there in and around, and a lot more exposed. And we removed the removal of the overgrowth made a big difference. And it will then, it's going to be, you know, the work then, it will be part of their method statement that the group will continue this work into the future. So, you know, National Monuments knows that it's just not a one-off job. You know, there's a plan in place for the site to be looked after into the future. And Gary did 3D photogrammetry. That was part of the recording of it, and which is lovely. It's up on the website. It's up on the Field Monuments website, and it's a great way, I suppose, for groups, if there's sites that are hard to get at. This is a lovely way of. It's a really nice way for people to promote the work and to promote their local heritage. And this then is the video that Gary made as well for the at the end of the works. And it just, if Lorna could maybe start playing that. I'm going to stop sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, you stop sharing and then I'll take over there.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant, Lorna. Thank you.
Okay. Can you guys see that?
Eugene Morgan on the Slanna Stack, Glenamady. And this is the site, as we'd called it as we were growing up with Diarmid and Grania, the Donman was always known in our house as. And we'd have always heard the folklore around it. And the giant was supposed to have thrown the stone, top stone from Mount Mary, which is over there, and it landed here, and that's the original story that we were told as growing up as children. Well, the surrounding site is a children's burial ground, and there was children buried here up until 1964. People would come in the middle of the night and bury their children because they had no place else to bury them. So, and when they went to erect this wall around it 30 odd years ago, there was a lot of research done around the fact, and most of the neighbours or in the general area all said who belonged to them that was buried here, which people wouldn't have really known about before that. I feel it's very important that people have access to the site as well, but it's great to get the grant to get work done and to clean it up the way it has been cleaned up now. Like before this, it all was done by the community itself that erected the wall and did the clean up. Well, one of the things there that we'd always talk about, or was always said about the site, about the thing here, with the when the compulsory tillage was on in the country, this field here used to always be tilled, and there was compulsory tillage after the war, and you'd have different sections of it. You'd have different people who would be taking different sections of it. But any time that if they got too near the site with the plough, the horses would go lame. And this, you know what I mean, people will swear on the, you know what I mean, that they've seen it. Tom Joe, one of the people that was up here, said he saw it. It wasn't just, but horses going lame until the sod was turned back in. My father sent them up to turn back in the scribes of the thing, and once they were turned back in, everything was okay again. Okay. So we'd have always done that. Now there'd be a lot of shamanic significance here for us as well, on as a portal. It would be a portal to the stairs, as we'd say, you know what I mean, and there'd be we do a lot of work around this site. We'd call this sacred site, you know, so it's a massive spiritual significance. There's also an archaeology significance, and there's also the burial ground here, which is a major significance as well. So because of that, you have 3 different points of view with the site that have to be all taken into account.
Brilliant. Thanks a million, Lorna. Am I back?
You should be back now, Bernie. Yep.
Okay. Now this is where the fun begins. Yes. Yay. So, yeah. So those is just. It just gives you an idea of how, you know, a short film, 3 minutes of a film, can really show the importance of the site. Like, he was the landowner, you know, he grew up there, and it's just nice. And it just, I suppose he just spoke. It was the most natural thing. And I'd said to him, you want to tell them A, B, C, a D, and E, and he just talked. And that was done in about, 10 minutes? Not even, you know. So like, Gary is good at his job, you know. Gary knows how to get people talking and relaxed. And we were very lucky. It was a beautiful morning, Saturday morning, and it'll give you an idea of how you can promote the works that are being done in a nice, positive way. So I'm sorry now, I know we're running late. So just to give you an idea now, just on the website, under publications, there is the Adopt a Monument Research Toolkit. A lot of you will be familiar with it, and as well the Adopt a Monument Guidance for Community Archaeology Projects. A lot of information is there. And as well, if you know, we have a lot of advice there on the care, recording, and conservation of graveyards. And under the community archaeology as well, you can have a look at the community monuments funds. So I'm working away. I'm trying to get up all the different. There was a few different sites, so I'm just trying to, you know, if it was a thing that you wanted to, if you were going to apply and you got funding, then we can help in the promotion as well. So we can link into your site as well, you know, and it's a good, you know, we can encourage each other. So I think I should probably stop talking. If anyone has any questions and answer, or if anyone has any questions or answers for people, you're welcome. So I don't know if Lorna got any questions while I was blethering to you or not.
There's nothing in the chat. I have a few questions, Bernie, so maybe I'll kick off the session, if that's okay.
Yeah, do.
Just going back to the fairly early slides, what is an NMS notification?
Okay, so yes, sorry now, on National Monument Service, you need to, it's a form that you need to fill out to the National Monument Service. That form is available online on www.archaeology.ie. Okay, you need, it's a specific form, NMS06. I'm saying it off the top of my head. I could be wrong, and apologies if I am. It's there under, it's on their website, and I can forward you the actual form as well. Okay, so the notification, you need to notify. Notification needs to be forwarded to the National Monuments at least 8 weeks before your proposed works. Now, the Community Monuments Fund, if it was a thing that you were planning to do works, if you have a consultant archaeologist on hand, and as long as they say in their quotation, say they will apply for notification on behalf of, in the event of funding. Okay, so they will prepare that. So the notification will require, within that notification, you need your letter of consent from your landowner. You also need the methodology. Okay, so you need a method statement. And that's to be part of your notification. Okay, the notification form that is forwarded to the National Monument Service, and then it will come back. But because of the rollover in the funding, they did speed it along, the notification process, because there was such a tight time frame. But as long as it shows that you know that you have to get this, you have an archaeologist on hand to prepare one. That, you know, it can be done by an archaeologist, it can be done by an engineer, and it can be prepared by a conservation architect. It'll require a specific, like, you know, they want details as to the works that are proposed. Okay. So they don't want to have to make any guesses. You know, so if, this wall is we want to fix this wall, they want to know how you're going to fix it, what kind of mortar is going to be used. They want to know how, if there are finds, you know, how you're going to deal with archaeological finds. They want to know everything, you know, and that's where your professional comes in.
Brilliant. And Bernie, then, so you're notifying the National Monument Service with what you're proposing to do. Do they then respond to say, okay, we're fine with that? Or as long as you've sent, they do. So you would receive some kind of documentation.
You need, they will respond. They will send you, yes, we have received it, and it's been forwarded to an archaeologist. So each area has the National Monument Service has their own archaeologist, okay, for specific areas. So for Galway, Mayo, it's Garrow Conroy. So, but we need to send it to the Central National Monuments first, and then. But what we did was we kind of CC'd Garrod and give them the heads up. This is going to be coming onto your desk. So, and he was very helpful even in the preparation of, you know, of the notification and the method statements, because we wanted to make sure it was going to be, that's why getting all the professionals in the field on the one day, so that we can bounce off information. You know, well, the archaeologist will require this. Your engineer is saying, no, this wall is going to fall. Your ecologist is saying, well, sorry, you're not going to do anything here come March, April, maybe because we've got bats here. So you need everybody, all the ducks lined up, basically.
It really sounds like that, and it sounds like, you know, you need to be super organized in terms of your timeline. You know, yes, it might be a good idea when you're planning at the beginning, you know, to make notes of significant milestones and dates and things like that.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, if you have everything from the page right, if you've got your, you know, you'll get a team of professionals and they will work together, and they're happy to work together. So, you know, you might have, you know, you'll know a local, you know, somebody local to you, and they will know, oh yeah, I've worked with this engineer before. So talk to them and talk to each other, and you make your own little, you'll have your group of contractors that may or may not would be needed. Okay.
Okay,
So
brilliant.
if
I can
that
see
makes
I've got
sense.
some, yeah, absolutely. I've got some questions coming in the chat, but I just have a quick related question, and that is, how do you then get ministerial consent?
Yeah, ministerial. Yeah, you have that you apply to the National Monument Service, but that also you also have to get permission from the museum as well. And its ministerial consent will be prepared. It's by a licensed archaeologist. Okay, so you need a license to do that. Okay, well, generally they prefer a licensed archaeologist. Okay, so yeah, your ministerial, it's the minister is giving consent for this work because it's a state owned. It is a state owned monument.
But it's done through the National Monument Service again.
Yes, it's through the National Monument Service, but because it could take longer because it involves the museum. Okay, so there might be a bit more of a wait. So knowing that you need to do that, but your archaeologist will know that anyway. If they will get all the licenses that are required. Okay, or not,
Yeah.
well, the archaeological licenses.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. I've got a question from Mary O'Malley. She says, fantastic presentation. Thanks, Bernie. I'm wondering, how do groups get tax clearance, charitable status, registration? Maybe this is a question for iCAN groups that I may have missed.
Yeah, you contact, if your group, if your heritage group, you register with you contact revenue.ie. So you need to have tax clearance. So if you'll need your bank account, you'll need to show that you're a reputable organization. But yeah, generally you contact revenue.ie. They will give you a code, and you will then put that code then on the application form. Okay, it'll be an access code. And so if it's a thing that you don't have tax clearance, then if you've received funding before, you probably already do, but you need to talk to your group, anyone in your heritage group, say your finance person.
And would they need both the charitable status and the tax clearance?
They'll ask for one or the other or both. But
Okay.
you don't require to have charitable status. Okay, you don't need to have both. You can have one or the other.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Mary. Yeah, okay. Francis, if the Office of Public Works has taken over your monument, is there anything the local community can do?
Yes, you need to ask for their permission. It would depend. Yeah, it'll depend. You need to contact the Office of Public Works directly.
Francis, I don't know, do you want to say anything more, a little bit of context about that question?
Well, I know we were told that we can't touch it because it's in the care of the Office of Public Works. We did approach them about, slates and that had come off the building, and the building is really being just, if you like, improved. And they really haven't done anything about it. So I'm just wondering, our hands tied, really?
No, well, I wouldn't think so. But you could work with them, maybe. That's a question I should ask my heritage officer, really. That's a good question, Francis.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't think it shouldn't stop, because we have gotten funding. We've gotten funding for a state-owned site, but it was Galway County Council directly that applied for the funding for themselves. So it might need to be the Office of Public Works that would apply.
Okay.
Now, we'd need to check that. But if you were, say, if your group was willing to not adopt officially, but apply on behalf, that I can't see how they would not like that, because you are the ones putting in the work to get the money.
Okay. Okay.
So so yeah, I'll ask Marie about that, Francis.
Okay. Thank you, Bernie.
Brilliant. Mary again is, can you give notification and hold off until you see the funding application open, i.e. the next year? As in, can you be super prepared and get that bit done in advance?
Yes, you can. Yep. If you're willing to, yeah, if you have an archaeologist can help you prepare that notification, but you'll need to have a method statement. You need to, but you can, yes, there's nothing stopping you. Yeah.
And in fact, for some groups, that might be a sensible approach to do it in bite-sized pieces, get some of the administration done in year one in preparation for applying in year two.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. But there's nothing to say that the Community Monuments Fund is going to be there again next year. Okay. We know there was 1.4 million or 1.6 million allocated to 71 projects in September. We don't know. I think it's something similar again that will be allocated again. So just to let you know, they're supposed to open the application process on the 18th of December, and now we haven't heard back from the National Monuments since. They said possibly the 18th of December. So, but would be expecting that they'll make their announcement very soon. They're in the process of preparing application forms, and so it might be later than that, but the application will need to be into the local authority, they're thinking, by the end of February. The Built Heritage Investment Scheme is due on the 29th of January to your local authority. Okay, so they didn't want to have local authorities, dealing with all these applications all at the one time. So they were going to stagger them. So they're going to stagger the next lot. So they're looking at the end of February. So that gives you plenty of time, to get your paperwork together, get your quotations. Quotations are really important, and have your if you think it's a management plan is what you need, you get your building specialist, ask them, are you available to do this? Because even last October, I had to do a lot of ringing around the country. They just were inundated because there were people applying for Heritage Council funding, and the turnaround was just too short for them to be able to complete the works that was required of them. So they're inundated with these, because there's so few, this is very specialized work, so get, ring around and or we have, we do have a list of archaeologists with Galway County Council, and there's a few, in Mayo as well. So if you need a list of archaeologists and or building specialists or your conservation architect, so just get those ducks in a row and ask them, are they available to do the work? Or generally they'll be able to give you another name if they're not available.
And just to say, Bernie has kindly got the key contact person for each local authority who you would need to contact if you have any queries. So I will send those to you tomorrow. So they're different people within each local authority, and Bernie kindly got that information. What was I going to say there? I know Olive has a question. Oh yeah, just so if it's likely that the applications will be in at the end of February, Bernie, does that mean the works would need to be completed by November? Or
yeah, I'm guessing now nothing was confirmed in the last meeting with the National Monuments, so I'm expecting that it would be September, October. You know, so yeah, but I can't say until I see the application form, you know, so this is just giving you the heads up. It's coming. The stream of funding is coming. It'd be great. Now, as I say, there's going to be two kind of tiers of assessing them. So each local authority can only put forward, I think it is 9 in total. Okay, so you're in competition with your neighbors, okay? And then, you know, each local authority hands over, you know, so many applications, and then, you know, only so many out of that will get funding as well. So but they are looking for community projects. Okay, so, you know, there's 3 different streams in the Community Monuments Fund. So if it was a thing that Galway County Council got, you know, 6 or 8 or 10, you know, all from the community, then brilliant. You know, we'll be able to work around and say, okay, this can go under this heading, this can go under this heading. But as well, we can help you if, you know, we can give you advice as to, you know, what you want, you know, to see what you should apply for. Okay.
well, on that note, I have a question from Olive down in Shannon. Is ministerial consent required for carrying out an excavation on a protected structure, which is a post-1800 building?
No, you'll need planning permission, and you might need an excavation license. So you'll need you'll probably do need to give notification. It's precarious. If it's post 1700, then it's not it's not deemed as a recorded monument. Okay, but some things are. It could be within the area of constraint of a recorded monument. You know, it could, even though, say, just taken for example, you might have a mausoleum that is built. It could date to 1750. That could have been the earliest, or the 1800s. But it could be built within a recorded monument that is an early medieval graveyard. You know, so, or it could be within an enclosure that's, you know, early Christian. So each site would have to be looked at separately.
Okay. And Olive also wants to know, can you apply for both the Historic Structures Fund and the Community Fund?
Yes.
Olive, I don't know, do you want to come on and just tell Bernie a little bit about the structure you're talking about?
Okay. Hi, Bernie. And
hello,
that was
Olive. How are you?
Thank you very much for that presentation. So what we're looking at is a 19th century farmhouse here in Shannon, which we want to restore to use, amongst other things, as a heritage centre and perhaps a community meeting venue. But there is, before we carry out the work, which we do need to apply for the funding for, there is an area in the farmhouse itself that still has the beaten earth floor, and we would like to carry out a community archaeology project there. on
Okay.
that piece, you know, before any other of the other work goes ahead. But
Right.
I was wondering about we're looking at, and we were talking to the County Council here in Clare as well about this. So we're looking at applying for the Historic Structures Fund for the restoration of it, and also development of an ancillary building, which is like a barn that's attached onto one end of the house.
Yeah.
But we will be required to have some element of match funding,
Yeah.
either 50% or you know. So I'm just wondering, can you use other grants
You can.
to fill in for that match funding? And
You can, but there's no guarantee that you will, you know, because you've applied for one and you've got one, that they'll give you the other, you know. So, but there is nothing. Yeah, that was one of the questions that the National Monument Service actually answered, and yeah, it is possible to apply for both. But and as well, they do like, you know, they do like to see that, yeah, that okay, they're able to do this. That they like that, you know, that you can build on the work that you're doing. With regards to an excavation, you would need a licensed archaeologist to do the excavation work, you know, for your community, for the work, because you are, you know, because you are looking for archaeology, basically. You would need an archaeologist.
okay.
Yeah,
And just to add in there, Bernie, that because this farmhouse, and correct me if I'm wrong, Olive, just a bit of background, is it's practically the only remaining original building of its type in the area because of the construction of the airport.
It is, yeah.
And then there's the historic connection to General Lucas as well, and the revolutionary period.
That's it, exactly, yeah. So it is of local importance because of the structure, and it is partly a clay mud built structure and partly stone as well. But the clay part of it is under threat at the moment, so it does need to be conserved. And we did do some conservation work on it in 2012, but it's needing further work now. And we're advised that really the only thing that will protect it fully is to re-roof it. So that's why we're looking at doing a full restoration, and then beyond that, looking at the use for what the building will be then, you know.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a fantastic project. And I mean, like you know, it will be up to your local authority which stream they put that under. So they could, because they'll only be able to put something under, they can only put, you know, one forward for a vernacular building. That, you know, you just need your project to be the one that looks fantastic above all the others in the county, you know. So and as well, then there's no guarantee then that will get the funding, because you're up against, you know, the 26 other counties and then other local authorities. But it does sound fantastic, and the plan, like, you know, you have your plan in place, which is brilliant, and you know, you just have your quotations, so you know how much you are applying for. So get your archaeologist on board, and get your, you know, you're going to need your structural engineer. You're putting up, you know, you get your conservation architect involved, you know, and they will all work together. And
how do you, sorry to interrupt her, but like, how do community groups manage employing these people to do the preparatory work when there's no guarantee of them getting the funding? I mean, there must be a financial implication just for the preparatory phase.
Yeah, there can be. Now, sometimes a local authority might help in that, but generally an archaeologist will visit a site in preparation for funding. Okay, now you will have certain archaeologists that will not touch a community group with a barge pole, nor will certain engineers or architects. They are specific. There is a small group. That's why I'm saying, you know, there is a small group who know, they know, and even you're going to have your contractor, your guy that is concentrating on conservation work. He will travel the whole county, and he will help you in putting your quotation together. So it's part of his, he knows he needs to put a bit of work in to get a bit of work. And that's the same. Your structural engineer will visit a site and say, and go, well, yeah, I am available to do this if you get planning. A conservation architect will help you in preparing the application even.
Mhm.
You know, so they know they might put in 10 of these and 2 of them will get funding. You know, but there is a lot of work involved, but you have a very small cohort that will, you know, work with community groups. But if you have something in the bank, if there's a little bit of funding, that's, you know, it's always good to be able to get some of this work, you know, and you can pay someone to do it if you need to. Or if there's you know, if the local authority is given small funds sometimes, you know, apply for an assessment by an archaeologist. Do you know, that's what, you know, you can apply for that.
Yeah.
If you're lucky enough to have a community archaeologist in your area, he or she might actually come out and do the work for you under the community archaeology project.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
just so that you know that, all right?
Right.
So, so the prep work can be, you know, there's a lot of prep work, so it's good to get these applications right before they're handed on, do you know?
Mhm.
So, so you're like that, your community archaeologist, your heritage officer will be only too delighted to help you.
And how many quotations do you need to have more than one quotation for each of these, you know, for a conservation architect and an archaeologist? Do you have
No, not for the community. It's not specific. They don't set that out for under the Community Monuments Fund. So no, if you were to go for leader funding or something like that, you would have to have 3 quotations.
Okay.
That's just another idea for groups as well. There is leader funding there, you know, for, you know, heritage plans, and for, you know, for some, you know, for graveyard surveys. Just, you know, there's a lot of work in the applications, but you know, there is significant money there to be had, but as long as you have your quotations. But for the Community Monuments Fund, there's nothing to say that, you know, you need to have your 3 quotations. You would need to contact your conservation architect with Clare County Council just to verify what they want, you know.
We actually
for the
haven't
World
got a
Heritage
conservation.
investment.
Yeah, Clare doesn't have a conservation architect at the moment.
Okay, yeah, so I wouldn't, yeah, it's as long as you have a quotation and you know, like, and as well, allow for works that, you know, the unseen work, you know, especially with old buildings, you know, they're going to pull something down and go, oh my God, okay, this needs a bit more than, you know, what we thought was going to be 10 days is now 20 days work. You know, there's an awful, like, you can keep throwing money.
Don't they say to build in like a 15% contingency?
Yeah, that would be an idea. That would be a good idea. Yes.
Okay. Thanks a million, Bernie.
No, anytime, Olive. And if I can help you at all, feel free to contact. And I mean that as well. You know, feel free to contact me. Drop me an email. If you're in the middle of, if you have any questions. It's kind of hard when you haven't seen, if you haven't seen the application form. It's easier. It's kind of easier, you know, when you know the questions that you have to answer. So when you see the application forms, if you have any questions, feel free to give me a shout.
Thank you.
And good luck with it, guys. I mean, you've done a lot of work already. You have your promotional videos done. You've got good contacts. You've been keeping the county council updated, and you've made presentations to them. And I mean, I'm sure that must give you a good advantage, because you've already started building that relationship with the authority that's going to be choosing which applications go forward.
Well, we have a meeting organised on Monday next with the county council, and hopefully from that we'll be specifically to look at this, how we're going to go for the funding and all of that. So we're hopeful right now.
Brilliant.
Well,
Well, good luck with that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Does anyone else any other questions before we let Bernie go? I don't think there's anyone else. Well, on behalf of everyone, Bernie, I'd just like to say thank you so much for giving up your evening to come and tell us all about this. We've got some really valuable information there. And Bernie has, for those of you that maybe weren't here at the beginning, Bernie's done out some notes on the presentation with the key information that I'll be sending on to you tomorrow, along with the contact person within the county council, who to get in touch with if you've any questions about these funding streams. Is that right, Bernie?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So feel free, and again, if you have any questions at all, feel free to give me a shout. Send me an email, and it doesn't matter if you're not in County Galway. All right.
Well, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. And everybody, thanks for coming along this evening. Have a lovely evening yourselves.
All
and
right.
Take care until we talk to you again.
Okay, thanks very much, Lorna. Thanks a million for hosting.
Oh, you're very welcome. Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Bye, and take care.
Thanks, Bernie. Thank you.